do some book 5 stuff. Book 6 is penalties. We hope we don't have to use that one too often, but if we need it, it's there. And book 7 is procedures. And procedures is only for nerds like me, not for normal people, right? Like, don't even come here and talk about like the joinder of issues and the qualifications of an advocate unless you've been through Father Beale's procedures class. Like, I don't want to hear it. But I do want to hear from Jacob.
Father Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to a big snowstorm tomorrow and the official beginning of winter. So
we had rain here, so that's like as winterish gets in.
I hope everybody was all right.
The first rain tends to be the most dangerous because it brings all the oils on so it becomes really slippery, and but I got through it okay.
Yeah. Well, the first snowfall is the exact same thing, but probably worse.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Like, it's like the EMTs and the police are like, all right, everybody, get ready. Tomorrow's the first snowfall. It's gonna be a mess. You know?
When I went up to visit Sherry, I ended up buying chains for my tires and putting on chains for the first time. That was an experience.
So we don't have the hill, so you don't need the chains quite so badly. Okay. You can do with just driving slower and braking earlier. But yeah, if you got the mountains, that's when you're really going to want the chains there.
There are places you're not allowed to drive during certain months without having chains.
Yeah, none of those are North Dakota.
So there's a reason I came on. Father, have you heard of this internet concept I was unfamiliar with called lolcows? Okay, so I had an encounter on my channel with a lolcow who unfortunately claims to be a Catholic apologist at that. And these people have large audiences. And so I thought the only thing I could think of, and it actually goes along with the speech you gave at the beginning, is there's no rational way to help these people. They need Jesus. And that's why I am broadcasting your live stream on my channel right now, in the hopes that any people who may be following, and I'll explain what a lolcow is, might have an encounter with Jesus by listening to an actual Catholic priest. So a lolcow, it comes from laughing out loud, and the idea of a cow being something you milk, like you go back to it for lulls over and over again. And these are people who live their lives on the internet, and they are like, they make scenes and they do dramatic things, which people then, mostly out of a sense of sadism. It's kind of like Jerry Springer, but on the internet and YouTube.
Great.
Yeah. So I won't even bother mentioning who the particular lolcow was, but he came on one of the streams on my channel, and I wasn't even on there to begin with. And
so that's your first mistake, but never mind that.
Allowing people to stream on my channel. No, actually, I eventually had to jump on and put these people in their place. But I also got the largest. I had 60 people last Sunday listening to one of my live streams because of these. Like, there's, and it seems to me like a serious spiritual sickness. I mean, I was actually wondering if it qualifies as a sin to like
to engage in that level of buffoonery,
or to get your lulls that way of paying attention to, like, is watching a Jerry Springer episode. I mean, I think it definitely pollutes your soul. I don't know if it, like, is it a sin though?
yeah. I mean, it's not edifying, and somebody who's got good formation should be able to figure that out. That it's not edifying, that you've got a puerile interest in these things there, and so yeah, there's a lot of things that, I mean, it wouldn't go straight to, like, I watched an episode of Jerry Springer, therefore I can't go to communion. Like, I don't think it would be that level, but even what we would call venial sins do weaken charity and weaken the virtues in you and pollute the imagination and all sorts of other things. And so it's not like we treat them flippantly there. So yeah, I think that sort of puerile, buffoonish entertainment in very high doses, especially if it's at the expense of good order, right? So we could look at something like the Three Stooges, right? And it's like, okay, you watch a Three Stooges episode, it's very buffoonish, but that's what you're watching, and like, they aren't actually hurting each other that much, so there's not much danger to it. Airing out people's real lives in the Jerry Springer show, that's I don't know, that's not good. It's not good for anybody involved, frankly, except for the advertisers. And then yeah, I would think that, especially if they're coming on to what could be a serious and orderly discussion, and not just making it lighthearted, but making it foolish, that could be a serious. That's not good. That's not good. We'll call it bad. Call it evil.
These people actually got under Chezi's skin, which is pretty hard to do. Chezi's a pretty, even-keeled guy. But yeah, they and apparently, I mean, they have this thing. It's a father-daughter team, and she's very pretty, and apparently she's using her fame to get money and things from men. So yeah, it was a wholly, like, I mean, I don't know if I can say it's bad that I know this concept exists, but now that I know more about it, it just does feel demonic to me.
Yeah, I mean, and we just remember that. So I'll just say a point to Jan God here. In Catholic theology, demon possession means that they have control of your body. That's a very rare thing, but there could be demonic temptations, or obsession or oppression. Temptations, that's something that everybody faces. You get something introduced via your imagination. Obsessions is where your mind keeps on coming back to something, being pulled by a force that can't really be explained through natural causes, and oppression being a consistent operation on your passions and appetites. So I wouldn't necessarily say possession. I know people use that word very very freely, but yeah, if there's if it's just that disruptive and self-serving, there's going to be some manner of evil influence there.
Which reminds me, I got that book. I believe you were the one who recommended it. It's Diary of an American Exorcist by Stephen Rossetti.
I would recommend that book. He's a reliable author. I don't remember recommending it recently, but it
was a while ago.
Yeah.
I think I asked you when I was doing my internship with Catholic Charities about like demonic possession and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a while ago then.
That was a while ago. Yes. I am starting my new internship tomorrow, actually.
Well, I hope it goes well.
I hope so too, but it's in a locked ward. And from the people I have met so far, it's doubtful I will be able to be very helpful to them because they tend to be not the most responsive of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get in a locked ward in the 21st century requires a
In California.
in California. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just pray to the Lord of Heaven to send grace, and maybe you can make things a little bit better and not worse. So
That is my hope. By the way, this is my new dog.
mm-hmm.
His name is Lucky.
Oh, poodle?
He is a golden doodle.
Golden doodle. Okay, so not too smart for its own good.
Yeah, he's 3/4 poodle, 1/4 golden retriever.
Might still be a little too smart for his own good. My sister had a poodle, and I was like, if this dog were just a little bit dumber, he'd be much happier.
That's why they created doodles.
Yeah.
That
Because
is
golden
why...
retrievers are pretty dumb. So yeah, it's the perfect blend right there.
Yeah, and he's teething, which is why he's constantly mouthing everything, including.
You got to go get a chew toy then.
He has enough. My entire apartment is littered with chew toys and things he imagines are chew toys, including my glasses, which now have scratches on them because he has decided he likes them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, just make sure, I like dogs, but I don't like poorly trained dogs.
Yes, he's going to be way too big to be poorly trained. He's not even 4 months yet.
Yeah, no, poodles can get pretty big, so
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a lot of fun, and now I know about LOL cows.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sad. Like, there's one person who, like, he was morbidly obese, and he seems like an incredibly nice person. And the fact that people watch him, like, I've watched some of his stuff. His life has been very sad, but kind of improving and stuff. So that doesn't seem so bad to me. But a lot of people, a lot of people seem to gravitate towards the people whose lives are really horrible. And like in Los Angeles, we have this thing where there are people who will do literally anything to be famous.
That's one way to end up in Los Angeles.
Yep. And that seems to me to be what's going on in a lot of these people's lives. But then giving them an audience seems like it's, especially when they do stupid things or claim to do stupid things. Yeah, it just seemed bad. I literally thought these people need Jesus.
Or at least Orson Scott Card. I don't know if you've ever read Ender's Game, but it had an early version of the internet on it.
Okay.
But it was like very gate kept. You needed to have like certain credentials to be able to publish and all of that. And it was not the very flat and open platform that we were actually delivered. And he was writing this back in the 80s, right? So, no shame on him for not really understanding how it was going to develop. But yeah, it's just funny to to read the way that the plot ends up working out and being like, yeah, that's not how it works. Anybody can broadcast themselves. Father Seitz is broadcasting himself right now.
I was surprised to be nostalgic for the days when Jerry Springer kept a limit to how crazy people could be. Because these people, yeah.
I mean, yeah, now, like, what is to prevent you from doing like a 6 hour, absolutely ridiculous nonsense live stream, right? Like Jerry Springer had to keep that in at 24 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. These people know, like, apparently part of how these people became famous was the mother, the father, and two of the kids were on live having like this huge argument that ended up with the police being called. But given the history of the family, which I know way too much about, it seems like the only reason, like they were just doing it for show, and that's why all four of them were on camera simultaneously broadcasting this supposed family fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like the stupidest form of vainglory imaginable.
Yep.
It's just
And Yon God, no, this is in no way a confession. Believe it or not, my life is crazier than I let on YouTube.
he just gives us the Magic the Gathering cards and the dog.
Yes, the dog and the cat and the beautiful stuff. Because I do believe that life should be presented as just a tiny bit nicer than it actually is. Not too much nicer.
All right. Well, there we have it. Everything you ever wanted to know.
The lolcat is part of the troll culture. It's been around on the internet a lot longer than anything
It was a lol
else.
cow. A
Lol
cow
cow,
there.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's all the same. So anything for the lulls. It's just you're looking for audience, and a lot of people are like the whole lull thing is very. It had a name before that. That's why I'm always like, oh look, another newbie came out of his internet bubble after however many years of being on the internet. And if you didn't live through Goatsy, you don't know how bad the internet could be. Goatsy was
Did you have to mention that?
You just gave a bunch of 30-somethings trauma there, Mark. Hello, Denise. You've got some buzzing coming through on our audio there. It might be solved by there that solves it. If you have a pair of headphones around, that might help it too. So
or just turning down the volume or something. Yeah, I don't know what we were hearing.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's just probably going to buzz anytime. Oh, that's better. That's a lot better.
Yeah, it'll be okay as long as you're speaking. When you're not speaking,
everybody's roboting at my end.
Well, you got to.
There seems to be a lag and a lot of roboting at my end.
Well, we're going to try again in 2 minutes then.
Yeah, give it a couple minutes.
Give it a couple minutes. See if her internet can catch up to us, and then we'll try again. We'll try again. You're not getting kicked out.
We're seeing a lot of people kind of their bubbles are bursting. The ones who say everyone else is in a bubble, they don't realize they're in a bubble, and then they're finding things that have been there longer than they've been on the internet and going like, "Oh my goodness," and then not even necessarily believing them. Right, like a lot of people are like, "How are these metrics real? How do people watch this?" Like, well, look, the internet's pretty good with metrics since that's all it can do at all. So it's and then with the Twitter and the location thing, everyone's misreading that data because nobody understands how to read data, and so they're mistaking things like how people are making money for the veracity of the audience they're making money off of, which is a totally different thing, right? They can't separate things because to understand even a small portion
Can
of the
you
internet,
give like a specific example of that? I haven't been following it at all, and maybe some other people in the
yeah,
audience
I mean,
haven't been either.
so on Twitter right now, they're doing things like, oh, so and so's clip channel is run by somebody in India. Well, of course it is. That's because they can make like $300,000 a year on a small clips channel that would make nothing in the US, by the way, or not enough to make it worthwhile. So it's worth their time. But the thing is, that doesn't affect the audience that's looking at the clip channel. It doesn't say anything about where they're from or what they believe, right? And so if you confuse the author of the channel, for example, with the audience of the channel, because you're stupid, because most people are stupid, you'll draw wrong conclusions about what's going on. So for a lot of
Right,
people,
right, and that's, I mean, that's what I've seen more of is people like, oh, we've got this guy that's like Fred Western aesthetic,
yeah, yeah,
and apparently he's an Indian fellow, and like he's allowed to appreciate these things.
right,
And I'm not going to stop him, but like the way he was presenting himself was like this, Nordic defender of the culture thing when it's like an
right.
online LARP. So that's what I've been seeing a lot more of, just kind of blowing over.
Well, and there's some of that, but like I said, there's this other new confusion where people are like, oh, so and so runs this clips channel from India or from Romania or something, or one of these other very cheap to live in countries where there's a loophole with the way advertiser dollars are counted, and so it's very lucrative. A channel that wouldn't be lucrative in the US to run is very lucrative over there to run.
But that's
And then,
more
of
than
course,
just currency exchanges. That's like they're
yeah, there's
getting
all
paid
kinds
more.
of math. There's all kinds of wacky side effect arbitrage math going on, right? It's way more than currency. But what ends up happening is people get very confused. The other confusion they have, like Young God, big surprise, is you can say anyone from an Eastern Bloc country is a Russian disinformation person. And the problem is that's because it's impossible to discern. Like a guy in his basement in Romania who realizes I can make all this money, somebody being paid or being encouraged, or worse yet, not being paid but being encouraged
The
through
real
other
believers
means.
are always more effective than the paid ones.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't realize. Oh, you're a paid Russian informant. The paid ones are sloppy and they don't mean it and they won't do a good job. True believers who do it for free, you can't trace that. So that shows you what you can know about the world, right? Back to this intellect thing. The intellect works great for things you can know about the world. You can't know someone's beliefs as easily as you think, and you can't intellectualize your way to them. That's for sure. Which isn't to say you can't apply some very simple, basic first order logic principles. Which, by the way, anybody says they're good at logic, they can't do basic first order logic. I don't know why that's true, but just 100% so far. Thousands of samples at this point. None of them can do it.
They say they're good at logic and they can't actually do it.
You can use logic to derive certain types of things under certain very specific circumstances with what I would call a hell of a lot of data, although sometimes it's the right data. So, for example, I'll give you this example I've been working on. I don't know if I'm going to use it yet in a video, but if I do, say la vie, you can see it twice. If you knew, for example, that I think it was 2012, but I don't remember the exact year, that 60 Minutes did a piece. Now, this is 2012. This is back a ways, right? 60 Minutes did a piece talking about a company whose sole business was to create fraudulent, forged banking documents for mortgages. That's all they did. Didn't do anything else. Okay. You can use logic to derive that the only reason why that could possibly exist in the world, using basic first order logic, is that the banks had to have been committing large scale fraud about what they own. There's no other way that could happen in the world, right? Now, of course, you have to work back.
And we're assuming a business of a certain scale here. I haven't seen the 60 Minutes documentary, but it's not like they made 30 of these things.
No, it's a huge business, right?
Yeah.
With so there's only one way to do that, and that's if the scale of the fraud is very large. Now you have to work from it backwards. You have to say, what would cause this to exist? You can't go at it the way conspiracy theorists go at things, because that's how you get conspiracy theories, right? You can't go at it from, if I don't assume this thing exists, what are the things it could do? And therefore, what any one of those things could justify its existence. So, for example, you could take the Egyptian pyramids and say, all right, well, what could justify the existence of the Egyptian pyramids? Oh, well, it could be ancient aliens, right? I mean, it could be. That's not illogical, unreasonable, or irrational at all, because logic, reason, and rationality can't tell you anything about that coming at it from that angle, right? You can logic your way into, you don't need ancient aliens to explain it and Occam's razor, and therefore, but A, you can't rule out ancient aliens, and B, you have to go backwards to do that. You can't start from, oh, the pyramids exist and therefore, right? You have to start with telos to figure out what happened. And when you start with the telos and do the logic, you can actually use the logic. If you don't do that, the logics can justify anything. And that was the argument. I mean, I told, I did a video of Van Nuclei, like 4 years ago now, or maybe even 5, I forget, about this, where I talked about things like, oh yeah, this was the game, pre-trolling, but also there was a game. It was called trolling. It was a game. We all knew what we were doing. Everybody involved knew what was happening, right? You were using the best logical argument to justify an absurdity. And we would go into like, I can prove the ancient aliens, built the pyramids because the Maya and the, and you'd make these long chain, very clever logical arguments. And we had a way to score it. I got rather good at it eventually. We had all this. This is in the early 90s, right? We had all this, right? But we knew it doesn't work. Like, logic doesn't work that way. It can't rule things out, unless it's done a certain way. And it can't tell you things unless you start from the right set of assumptions. Like, what would justify a large business with hundreds of employees cranking out literally tens or hundreds of thousands of pieces of fraudulent paperwork to exist? Oh, well, there had to be large scale banking fraud in the mortgage sector, because they only did mortgage paperwork, and they only had, bank executives, sometimes fake bank executives, signatures on these papers, right? And 60 Minutes is an expose on this, and no one smart enough apparently to use basic first order logic to say, oh my goodness, the scale of the fraud, right? Another way to know the fraud existed is to just read the Wikipedia article, which I believe is still up and accurate. If not, go to an earlier version from the 2008 collapse, although I think the collapse happened in 2007, of Taylor B. and Whitaker. And then say, well, if Taylor B. and Whitaker was doing that and they got audited and they didn't get caught, what else could possibly have been going on in the mortgage arena, right? Because they weren't the only ones. Maybe the scale of their fraud was greater because they made up addresses wholesale and didn't get caught, because the auditors at Deloitte are dumber than you can possibly imagine. Like, how do you not catch that? Everyone else did. Actually everybody else did. And so if you can't, if you don't start from the right place, you can't use the logic anyway. And also, to your original point when you sort of started the stream, more information doesn't help, but it sure as hell does hurt. And if you don't know when to stop getting information, you're completely screwed. You're completely screwed. You have to have a limit on the information, because what happens in a world of detail, you can go into as much detail as you want. Like, you can get lost in detail all day long and it never ends. It's actually infinite. So it's a dangerous thing.
Speaking of information and getting lost, for the people who are watching this on my channel, I put a link to Father Eric's live stream in the comments, and you should all come over to Father Eric's channel, and you should subscribe to his channel, and you should turn on notifications. You should like his videos, because Father
Eric, I'm getting raided. Oh no.
because Father Eric does this live stream every week. And it is an honor for us to have a genuine Roman Catholic priest who actually knows stuff to be involved and to talk about things actually knowing stuff, as opposed to the vast majority of people who just talk a lot about stuff they don't know anything about. So I am going to stop the stream on my end so that all of you people can come over to Father Eric's channel and like and subscribe.
Yes, yes. And all of the other YouTube stuff, I suppose.
Denise,
keep-
good to see you. How are you doing? How's the quilting?
Oh,
My